Hello, my dear. They were never ready for the version of you that stopped explaining. The one that didn't argue, didn't warn, didn't justify. You became the kind of quiet that burns reputations to ash. Because you learned something they never did. When you start respecting yourself, disrespect starts choking on its own echo. They pushed, thinking your patience was permanent. They tested you like a laboratory experiment, measuring how much venom your veins could absorb before you snapped. But you didn't snap, you evolved. You recalibrated your boundaries into a fortress, and you placed a classified sign over your energy. You stopped reacting, and that's when they started unraveling. They wanted a reaction, but you gave them results. You didn't explode, you disappeared, and that disappearance wasn't weakness. It was psychological warfare disguised as detachment. Because walking away without a sound is louder than any revenge anthem ever sung. You see, mercy isn't holy when given to manipulators. It's just misplaced energy. And you finally realized mercy given to a snake just teaches it to hiss louder next time. So you stripped them of access, not out of hatred, but out of calibration. You understood the mathematics of ego. The less you engage, the faster they decay. You became the proof that indifference is more lethal than confrontation. You let them talk. You let them twist. You let them narrate half-truths to audiences who only half listened. Because deep down, you knew. People only gossip when they're desperate to rewrite history they already lost control over. And right now, they're rewriting yours, not because you failed them, but because you exposed them by not reacting. That's the paradox of your presence. You don't have to destroy reputations. Your composure does it for you. There's a particular kind of pain that only narcissists feel when you no longer seek their validation. It's the collapse of control. They thrived on your emotional responses, your explanations, your justifications. You were their mirror, their feeding tube, their reflection source. But when you walked away, that mirror shattered, and now they're stuck staring at fragments that no longer flatter them. That's why they gossip. It's the last survival instinct of someone whose illusion just died. You didn't crush their ego with violence, you crushed it by showing them the mirror they built was always fake. You didn't need to scream or expose or prove anything. You became absence personified, and absence is something egos can't survive in, because absence forces truth to echo. Now, everyone's talking. Everyone wants to know what happened. They're comparing the before and after version of you like a forensic case study. They remember the warmth, the empathy, the understanding, and now they see the precision, the discipline, the unavailability, and it rattles them, because nobody expects kindness to turn into control. Nobody expects softness to turn into armor. Nobody expects the same person they exploited to become the one who decides who's allowed near them. You're not just evolving, you're regulating the emotional economy around you. Your boundaries are now currency, and people are realizing they can't afford you anymore. It's funny how your peace triggered chaos in everyone who mistook your love for leniency. You didn't change overnight. You just stopped bleeding for people who kept counting your wounds. You stopped negotiating with energy thieves. You stopped explaining your value to people who could only understand loss. They used to think cutting you off would break you, but you flipped the equation. You cut them off so cleanly, it felt like divine retribution. You didn't block them out of anger. You simply recognized that access to you is a privilege, not a right. That realization alone turned your entire aura into something untouchable. You didn't walk away weak. You walked away weaponized. There's something magnetic about someone who doesn't retaliate, just reconstructs. You rebuilt yourself without announcement. You rebuilt your priorities like a secret operation. And when the results started showing, your glow, your confidence, your detachment, they panicked. They couldn't believe you could look that unbothered after everything they did. They thought your silence was bitterness, but it was rebirth and progress. You didn't retreat. You re-engineered your life. You gave yourself what they kept withholding. And now, you stand there with that aura that says, I don't hate you. I just don't need to explain you anymore. That sentence alone has more power than any revenge speech ever written. People are whispering about you like an urban legend now. You've become the case study of what happens when someone good finally snaps clean. The story is traveling through friends, co-workers, relatives, even strangers who don't know the full details, but feel the energy shift. They're not gossiping because you're bad. They're gossiping because they can't comprehend how you pulled off an exit so precise it looked choreographed. You didn't just walk away. You left no trace of dependency. You didn't fight for closure. You became closure. And that's what's haunting them, because every rumor they start only circles back to make you look composed. Every insult they try to throw only exposes how pressed they still are. You've reached that level of detachment where even their hate works as free marketing. Understand this. When people say you showed no mercy, it's not because you were cruel. It's because you were clinical. You didn't go nuclear. You went surgical. You identified the infection and removed it without sympathy. You didn't owe them forgiveness. You owed yourself freedom. And freedom doesn't ask for permission. They never expected you to become this version of yourself, the version that doesn't chase, doesn't explain, doesn't defend, the version that watches everything burn that tried to dim you, and then walks away without flinching. That's what makes you immaculate. The precision, the timing, the restraint. Mercy would have been letting them think they still mattered, but you took that illusion away, and that's why their egos are screaming now. They call you cold, but it's projection. What they feel is the temperature drop that happens when emotional control is removed from their hands. They call you cruel, but what they mean is, you stopped feeding me. They call you heartless, but they forget they drained it dry. You're not heartless. You just redirected your heart toward people who deserve it. That reallocation of energy made you powerful. Because now, everything you give amplifies instead of depleting. And those who used to drain you are suffocating in the vacuum you left behind. They used to say, "You'll never find someone like me." And now you've proven, thank God for that. Because finding someone like them was the very mistake you refused to repeat. You didn't just cut people off. You ended patterns. You dismantled emotional contracts you never signed. You canceled cycles that thrived on your empathy. Every time they try to come back, you don't even respond with anger anymore. You respond with nothing. And nothing is lethal. Because nothing denies them what they crave most: relevance. They check your page. They study your updates. They ask mutual friends if you ever mention them. And every no they hear cracks their ego like a fault line. You're living rent-free in the minds of those who thought they'd outsmarted you. That's not revenge. That's karmic math. You didn't even need to calculate it. You just stayed true. And truth has a way of balancing the books. Right now, there's a shift happening. The The same people who mocked your standards are imitating them. The same ones who dismissed your boundaries are now enforcing their own. You became the manual they secretly follow, but publicly deny. That's the mark of real power. It doesn't need validation. It creates imitation. You showed them how to exit gracefully, how to outgrow people without announcing it, how to weaponize composure. And now they can't even gossip properly without sounding envious, because every insult starts to sound like admiration when the results are visible. They call you the villain, but you're the most disciplined villain they've ever seen. The kind that doesn't destroy people, just removes them and watches their own chaos consume them. There's something poetic about the world labeling you merciless right after they tested your mercy to its limits. You gave chances. You gave warnings. You explained yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. But the moment you reclaimed your energy, suddenly you're the problem. That's fine. Let them rewrite the script. Because in every version of their story, you still end up as the one who left clean. You didn't just end connections, you ended control. And now the gossip serves as free publicity for your boundaries. Every time they talk about your coldness, someone new learns the value of self-respect. You're not just living, you're teaching. You can feel it, the collective shift in how people treat you now. The hesitation before they speak, the recalibration in their tone, the sudden politeness. They've realized you don't play the old games anymore. You're not interested in defending your peace, you embody it. You're not out here proving loyalty, you're observing patterns. You've mastered emotional distance like an art form. That's why you scare them. Because your peace looks like power to those still addicted to chaos. You're walking proof that the most dangerous person is the one who doesn't flinch. You don't threaten, you just vanish. You don't argue, you just upgrade. You don't warn, you just disappear. And by the time they realize what happened, you've already rewritten the rules. Now the conversations about you aren't out of hate, they're out of fascination. They can't figure out how you turned withdrawal into dominance. They can't grasp how you turned heartbreak into composure. They can't decode how you turned detachment into social currency. You became a paradox they can't solve. Because while they're still busy explaining you to others, you're out there building something unexplainable. And deep down, they know it. Mercy didn't leave the room. Accountability did. And that's when everything shifted in your favor. And somewhere between their confusion and your calm, between their gossip and your growth, between their projections and your peace, you became legend material. You became proof that control isn't loud, it's strategic. That ending things cleanly is the highest form of revenge. That you can dismantle entire empires of manipulation with one act of emotional withdrawal. And that's the part they'll never recover from. Because when you walked away, you didn't just remove yourself, you removed their power source. And now, as the whispers spread, and your name circulates like a warning disguised as respect, something else begins forming in the background. Something that will soon redefine your legacy entirely. What forms in the background is not a plan so much as a current, a slow, invisible force moving through corridors you once occupied. It takes time for people to sense the change, to realize the absence has rearranged priorities and alliances. But make no mistake, absence creates architecture. When you left a vacuum that clarity and consequence began to fill. People started to choose sides without saying the word. Allies became obvious because they showed up without a request. Enemies revealed themselves because they tried to bargain for the space you vacated. The narrative that once belonged to them cracked, and within that crack, your truth found its foothold. You watch it like a director watches a scene complete itself. You don't interfere, you observe. The gossip grows teeth. It sharpens its edges as people invent motives, rehearse versions, and send fragments to one another like smoke signals. But smoke dissipates. Your reality condenses. The ones who mattered are not the loudest voices in the crowd. They are the quiet ones who saw your discipline and understood its value. They start lifting you differently. Invitations come in measured tones, respect no longer begging for explanation. This is not about popularity. It's about calibration of surroundings. You learn to recognize the difference between a guest and a tenant. Guests enrich your table. Tenants drain your foundation. The moment you stopped negotiating with tenants, your life stopped leaking value. And that clarity is lethal to those who once exploited you. They did not expect you to treat your presence like a protected resource. They did not expect you to audit relationships with the same precision you apply to every other aspect of your life. Gossip is relational currency. It once flowed through the same channels they used to manipulate you. Now the same channels route to a different recipient, your reputation. People swap stories about your composure the same way they once swapped lies about your faults. The irony is exquisite. They traded their leverage for a rumor that elevates you every time they utter it. And that rumor becomes a magnet. Strangers who never knew you feel compelled to reach out. Old friends check in with renewed curiosity. The world starts to recalibrate its assumptions because scarcity practiced with dignity attracts deliberate attention. Their ego breaks differently when it realizes the person they tried to control is now untouchable. Control was their currency, and once the supply dried, value evaporated. They pivot from anger to apology to performative humility. Some will beg, some will strategize a return, some will enlist others to narrate a false reconciliation. All will miscalculate the one constant about you. Access isn't restored by words alone. Access returns only when behavior proves change. You don't accept proposals. You accept demonstrated transformation. It's tempting for them to invent drama, to paint you as malevolent, as if severing ties is a crime instead of a choice. They will script narratives to make themselves victims, to draw sympathy and regain ground. Don't be surprised if they dress their lies in sincerity. Manipulative people can craft tears that look like truth. But remember, people who knew you best will always remember who showed up consistently. They remember the nights you kept your promises. They remember the small acts that revealed your character. As your legend grows, watch how influence rearranges the map. Professional doors that once closed swing open. People who used to ignore you call with measured respect. There is a recalibration in rooms you used to attend, both invitation and tone altered. You realize how many decisions in life are made by people who respect scarcity. When scarcity is practiced by dignity, it becomes irresistible. Your availability becomes a statement. That statement rewrites assumptions. People think twice before making requests that used to feel entitled. The whisper network grows into a chorus of testimony. At first it's private, friends texting friends, acquaintances nodding in hallways, colleagues raising eyebrows at lunches. Then public subtlety appears, mentions on social feeds, indirect but intentional invitations, new collaborations, seated by those who now see you as someone who weighs consequence. The world outside your pain is waking up to a simple headline. This person left, and life adjusted. No spectacle, no courtroom drama, just an elegant exit that costs them influence. This transition reveals a truth most people avoid. Integrity is a long-term investment, not an instant transaction. The manipulative architecture you dismantled was designed for quick gains, not sustained value. Your decision to withdraw dismantled that architecture by demonstrating long-term consequence. You taught them that actions compound, not excuses. People will recalculate their risk of losing what matters when they see someone choose boundaries without drama. Your example becomes contagious, and that contagion is not chaos, it's repair. And yet within this growth, there's a dangerous beauty. Some people will misread your move as cruelty and rally to their side. Tribal loyalty forms around shared hurt, not truth. They will create villains to protect their pride. But remember, these are surface alliances. They lack depth because they were constructed to manage emotion, not truth. Over time, their structure crumbles because it was built from projection rather than substance. Your legacy withstands because it's built on demonstrated behavior and consistent calibration. What you did was surgical. You separated energy from expectation. That separation created space for people who move in alignment with your standards. It also exposed who was only present for their own benefit. The ones who tried to shame you for withdrawing are the same ones who would have gaslit you if you stayed. Their discomfort is a mirror for the clarity you cultivated. And as the mirror reflects their true colors, your circle refines itself into something lean, efficient, and loyal to outcomes rather than narratives. At some point, the gossip becomes less about you and more about the lesson. People start telling the story in ways that teach how to reclaim time, how to refuse access, how to stop negotiating with thieves of attention. The narrative shifts from scandal to seminar. You become a case study people use to justify their own exits. That's influence without intention, impact that happens because you lived a boundary. It's the kind of power that doesn't require you to perform. It just requires that you remain consistent. You may notice, too, that your enemies become quieter as their options narrow. Their attempts at sabotage become clumsy once they realize you no longer react. They escalate in private, but public perception lines up with your composure. It's a critical lesson about leverage. When you control your response, you control their reach. They can orchestrate hysteria behind closed doors, but they cannot force the public to believe manufactured chaos when your results are visible. Presence is a better defense than protest. There will be moments when the urge to correct the record feels urgent. Resist it. Every correction hands them oxygen. You don't need to manage public perception. You need only manage your actions. Let the gossip do what it must while you do what matters. Only respond when the evidence requires it. When it does, respond with facts and boundaries, not with pleas. The goal is to conserve clarity, not to restore illusions. In time, what looked like cruelty to them will be recognized as discipline. What looked like indifference will be recognized as strategic preservation. Your name will circulate not as a scorned figure, but as a model for people tired of being exploited. And when you begin to accept opportunities that align with your new standard, you will see the full compass of what you achieved. A life re-centered, relationships upgraded, and an influence that rewards restraint rather than reaction. So let them talk. Let the rumors thread through the same rooms where they once controlled you. Each inquiry into your absence is a testament to your new worth. You've turned omission into authority and detachment into magnetism. They called you merciless because you refused to be consumable. They called you a villain because you chose peace over permission. But the truth, quiet, stubborn, undeniable, is that you reclaimed yourself. And in doing so, you authored a template for everyone who ever felt drained by other people's appetites. And when their voices finally die down, what remains will be unmistakable. A life rebuilt on intention, a circle refined by truth, and a reputation that commands a respect not through noise, but through absence and consequence. That is the real verdict. You showed no mercy, because mercy in that room meant insecurity. You showed precision, and that is why your legend will not fade. The next moves will be quieter, but more consequential. Watch closely, not because you must react, but because your quiet has already spoken volumes. People began whispering about it in every circle that used to orbit you. They couldn't understand how someone so calm, so calculated, could detach without rage. They called you ruthless, heartless, vindictive, but deep down, they knew it wasn't cruelty. It was correction. You were never the villain. You were the consequence, and consequences don't argue. They arrive. The gossip grew because everyone recognized pieces of their own guilt in your decision. The ones who laughed behind your back now use your name like a warning label. The same ones who underestimated you can't even stand in the same room without pretending not to feel your presence. You didn't destroy them. You forced them to face themselves. That's the kind of punishment that lingers long after any apology could repair it. And here's what truly burned them: the realization that you never needed revenge. You never needed to prove them wrong. You simply became the proof. Every accomplishment, every calm step forward, every moment of self-control became an indictment. They can't explain it to others, because explaining it would mean confessing. They can't admit that you played the long game, that while they were busy collecting attention, you were collecting self-respect. While they were performing for validation, you were designing your exit. You didn't cut them off impulsively. You withdrew strategically. You were studying patterns, saving data, preparing to detach so smoothly that when it happened, even time couldn't trace your footprints. That's why they still talk about it. It's not that they miss you. It's that they can't duplicate you. They still replay the final moment in their head, that message you never sent, that call you didn't return, that conversation they were sure you'd never end. They didn't believe you had the capacity to detach that completely. They thought they were indispensable. They thought your empathy was eternal. And then one day, the current shifted. No arguments, no breakdown, just a void where their control used to live. Now they scroll, they check, they speculate. They ask mutual friends questions wrapped in concern but dripping with curiosity. Have you heard from them? What are they up to? Are they okay? But what they really mean is, how are they still thriving without me? That question eats them alive. You became what they feared most, a calm example that they were never as needed as they imagined. Their ego depended on your presence to feel important. And now that you've withdrawn, their validation source has dried up. They're left performing for empty rooms, screaming for an audience that no longer exists. You didn't just walk away. You erased the illusion that their existence had power over yours. That kind of realization shatters a fragile mind. It leaves them haunted, revisiting old conversations, replaying old memories, dissecting every look and every word, searching for signs they missed the moment you started seeing through them. They'll never find it, because by the time they noticed, You had already evolved past needing their approval. You're being talked about in hushed tones now. In boardrooms, in side chats, in late-night messages between people who used to mock your boundaries. They're realizing you weren't cold, you were clear, you weren't cruel, you were calibrated. And that clarity terrifies them because it exposes how much noise they built their lives around. They label you unforgiving, but forgiveness isn't withholding peace, it's withholding access, and you withheld both perfectly. Your new version doesn't seek closure because closure was just another form of control they wanted to hold over you. You closed the chapter on your own terms, and the seal you left is permanent. There's something magnetic about watching people who once disrespected your worth now imitate your discipline. They mirror your tone, your boundaries, your detachment, but it doesn't fit them. It's imitation without the internal evolution. They want the results of your healing without paying the price of your restraint. But your detachment wasn't an act. It was earned through countless nights of understanding patterns, reprogramming empathy, and learning the brutal truth. Not everyone deserves your energy just because they crave it. You learned that people treat kindness like an unlimited resource until you close the tap. That's when the drought begins, and in that drought, their true character surfaces. You didn't drain them. They drained themselves, trying to exploit someone who finally stopped giving. Now when they mention your name, they do it cautiously. Some with guilt, some with admiration, some with fear, but all with recognition. They know they crossed someone who won't come back, someone who doesn't operate on emotional debt. You don't owe explanations, nostalgia, or redemption. You owe yourself preservation. And that's what made you immaculate. Your ability to rise above emotional chaos and make detachment look divine. You didn't just walk away clean, you walked away glowing. Even your distance radiates order. That's why people are obsessed with decoding you. They can't understand how you can care so deeply once and then cut so sharply forever. But that's the difference between compassion and compliance. Compassion evolves, compliance rots. You chose evolution. Every whisper about you now carries a tone of fascination. Did you hear how they handled it? They didn't even react. They just disappeared. These sentences circulate like scripture in the mouths of people who secretly wish they had the same strength. Because in truth, you didn't just cut someone off. You gave everyone watching a masterclass in emotional self-defense. You demonstrated that dignity doesn't beg to be understood. It simply moves. You proved that walking away isn't loss, it's leverage. The way you detached became an education for everyone still addicted to chaos. You redefined what power looks like when it isn't loud, when it isn't cruel, when it isn't performative, but when it's absolute. Even now, your absence has a gravitational pull. The people who wronged you orbit around the void you left, unable to escape the reflection it forces. They try to replicate your peace but can't replicate the cost. They post things hoping you'll see. They tell stories hoping you'll react. But you've transcended that arena. You've reached the level where even their mention feels irrelevant. You don't compete. You don't compare. You simply exist at a frequency they can't tune into. And that distance burns them more than any insult ever could. They wanted closure, but you gave them consequence. They wanted conversation, but you gave them silence. They wanted attention, but you gave them invisibility. That's how you crushed their ego, by letting it suffocate in isolation. And now, as the gossip matures, something new begins to happen. The narrative shifts again. People stop framing you as cruel. They start framing you as composed. The story changes from "they were cold" to "they were right." That's what time does when truth is left untouched. It exposes the real villains. Slowly, one by one, those who judged you start realizing you were protecting your peace, not destroying connections. You were reclaiming sanity, not waging war. You were ending exploitation, not abandoning people. The clarity settles like dust after an explosion. And when it does, your legacy looks untouched, while theirs looks unstable. You didn't have to defend yourself. Time did it for you. This is the art of leaving without residue. You became the immaculate villain, the one whose darkness was just discipline misunderstood by fragile egos. The one who didn't argue, didn't chase, didn't explain, but left a trail of realization behind. You showed the world what real mercy looks like, not giving someone another chance to hurt you. You didn't choose vengeance, you chose void. You made peace your punishment. That's why they still can't recover. Because when you deny a manipulator reaction, you erase their identity. They're left fighting ghosts that no longer exist, haunted by the version of you that no longer answers. But what they don't see is the evolution beyond that act. You're no longer reactive, you're selective. You understand the geometry of energy now. Who enters, who exits, who deserves proximity. You curate your world with the same precision you once used to survive it. You've become allergic to unnecessary explanation, immune to emotional extortion. Every new boundary you build is a monument to the self-control that saved you. You're not the villain, they just mistook healing for hostility. And if they're gossiping about that, let them. Their whispers are the background noise of your rebirth. Soon, the same voices that once condemned you will use your name as proof of transformation. They'll say, they were right to do what they did. That's how reputation works when it's built on truth. It doesn't need defense. It just outlives the lies. You've achieved something rare, emotional sovereignty. You no longer need closure from people you've already outgrown. You no longer explain growth to those who profit from your stagnation. You no longer perform softness for people who weaponized it. And that's why you win, quietly, efficiently, permanently. You showed no mercy, because mercy is for misunderstandings, not manipulation. You ended it clean. No begging, no bargaining, no breakdown. Just precision. That's why people gossip in disbelief, because they've never seen control executed that flawlessly. You made it look effortless. You made detachment look luxurious. And that's the part that burns their ego the most. Not that you left, but that you looked better after doing it. Every step you take now reinforces one truth. They lost access to something they'll never find again. You didn't cut them off. You graduated. You advanced to a plane where emotional chaos can't breathe. So let them keep talking. Let them theorize, romanticize, villainize. The truth doesn't need a press release. The truth already won. You are the immaculate villain, the one who proved that discipline disguised as detachment is the sharpest weapon of all. And as the final chapter closes, one thing remains certain. You didn't just crush their ego. You rewired their entire definition of power. You taught them that mercy isn't always moral, that forgiveness isn't always freedom, and that sometimes the most righteous act is restraint. You left no debris, no drama, no doubt. Just evidence. Evidence that you mastered the rarest skill on earth. The ability to end things without hating anyone. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you unforgettable. That's why they'll keep whispering your name long after you've moved on to greater things. Because even in absence, you're still the one they can't stop orbiting around.